Oh shit, here we go again.
Low, low, man. Low, low, man.
You like contracts, right? You're a contract guy.
I read contracts instead of conventional pornography, yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
What's up, everybody? Okay, I don't know why it always scuffs on the lives with that view. Anyways, good to see everybody here. I'm here. Glad you're here. Love you guys. And it is Legal Minds. We teach you your own judge, Andrew Esquire. It's a great, lovely evening over here in Asia. I'm glad that you guys came in. Yeah, that doesn't kind of scuff, right? Does that kind of scuff? I think it's scuff. Who knows? Who knows? It's good to see everybody here. We've got already over 1,200 people here today that are going to speak about this Elon versus Hasan deal, why this may be the thing that takes down Twitch, and this may be the moment. Everybody has been waiting, and I have people crawling out of the woodwork on my comments, in my emails, on all social media platforms, asking me, hey, is there any way we can get Hasan? Is there any way to Twitch? What's going on here? That was one of the first things coming out, and it's something I covered even before, and I've covered this topic before. Today, we're going to get into a very specific method. This is not the only method of attack against Twitch. And in fact, during this live, I'm going to speak to you about other methods of attack. But my PowerPoint focuses on Elon and what he can specifically do, and also what you guys can do and the government can do to bring down Twitch and thus hate speech, and not just hate speech, excuse me, death glorifying speech. Calls for glorifications of violence, calls for people to be ended, that sort of stuff. Yeah, that is what we're targeting here. Once again, if this was anybody on any platform of any ideology saying these things, I believe they should be taken down regardless. And I do believe if this was any other platform, if this was YouTube and you said those things, you would 100% be removed from the platform. If you were on Twitch and you said those things and you had the opposite political beliefs from Hasan, you would 100% be permanently banned, right? However, they've gotten into a situation where they are captured by a certain, whether it's cult of personality, whether it's Dan Clancy's just a fanboy, whatever it is, whether it's ideology, I don't know what it is. It could be money, who knows? But they are so captured by this that their failure to take action is going to have serious consequences. And I said it before, and I said it before any of this happened. And you guys remember this if you've been watching the channel. I said this, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, I've said this multiple times. When these things happen, and this is not hyperbole, the blood is on Twitch's hands. They are literally sitting there as the promoters of an ideology and of speech that is directed towards death and violence. And that is absolutely not acceptable. It's unacceptable. And we're going to get into it today. And we're going to get into how to hit them in the pocketbook, right? Which is the real way that corporations feel pain. And I say that as a corporate attorney. Once again, corporations can be moved by public relations, but when you hit them in the pocketbook, when you take their money, then they really pay attention. Then they really, really pay attention. Yes, it's all well and good when it's morality and PR, and they can debate morality and PR every day, and they can have all sorts of strategy teams and stuff like that. But when you take their money, it's magical how quickly stuff gets done. It is magical when you have a significant source of revenue that is going to be lost. It is so magical how things get done instantly. Because that amount of money represents people's jobs, represents investors that may no longer invest in the company. It represents so much. Losing one contract can cost them millions, billions, etc. Right? Especially a corporation at large. So let me get some of these comments here, and then we'll continue. Breaker19, thank you. As a new member. Secret Lover for 99, thank you. Silbury says, like and subscribe. YouTube notifications working today. Awesome. Also, I'm going to be using a little bit of the Twitter today because some of my tweets were getting out there. But I did notice, and I did have people bringing up that a lot of you are not subscribed to me on Twitter. So if you want to subscribe at The Legal Mindset, not only do I put notifications of every single stream, but I also give some information that I only put on Twitter and some comments that I only put on Twitter. And I've been like really tweeting on this stuff with a lot of comments over the last couple of days. And you're not going to get that on any other platform in the same format, right? Because obviously I'm giving some information in that format like X, right? But it's evil. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Once again, if you have the platform, if you're on it, then I will then follow me. If you're not, then don't. That's fine. But it's at The Legal Mindset. I unfortunately somebody else took Legal Mindset, so it has to be The Legal Mindset. But that's me. That's me. If you guys are so inclined. All right. Also, some people were telling me that they were having trouble accessing me in parts of Europe. I wouldn't be surprised if I'm banned in parts of Europe for being too based. But I just try to spit facts and be professional. So if Europe can't handle that, I don't know. But I think it's just a one or two user thing. All right. So let's get into the PP after I get these through three super chats. Like and subscribe. YouTube notifications working. Oh, I got that one. Derp says, about time Twitch faces serious consequences. And this is very serious. Not just for Twitch, but for Amazon, the parent company of Twitch. Winston Query said, already canceled everything Amazon when I found out they were with Warhammer. Glad to see them collapsing. And this is about Amazon. This is about more than just Twitch. But Twitch is at the root of the problem, because obviously Twitch is spreading the speech. By the way, guys, I will have a stream on the media amendment, right? Because a lot of people are talking about the media amendment regarding removing words like penalizing people for using words like white nationalist or Nazi or bigot. I have a lot to say about that. And I actually have because this act is going to be drafted, I imagine, and called the Charlie Kirk Act. Now, I have a lot to say about that, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and say, okay, if they're going to make this law, here's the words and the things that I would say, okay, these ones we have an objective way to measure whether they're true or false or whether they're defamatory. But there's other ones that I'm like, okay, this is a gray area. We probably shouldn't regulate this, because what we don't want to do in our zeal to clean up corporate America, to clean up the media, to clean up really the country of the United States. And really, by the way, guys, it's going to affect the world because people look to America for leadership. So when America does something, everybody else watches. So this will affect the entire world, but we do not want to go out there and over-regulate, right? I am not a fan of government regulation. The fact that I am literally talking about having certain things and be regulated and additional crimes being added, it goes against my core beliefs, but we're at that point, right? We're at that point where I've got to say, okay, we've got a problem that requires a solution. And that's the tool we have, right? That is the tool we have. So we did not want to use this tool. In fact, we resisted use of this tool till the very last second, right? It is at the point where we have to use this. You forced the hand. You're not going to like what comes, but you made us do this because you couldn't behave. It's like children that couldn't behave, but the children are trying to kill people, and that's not acceptable, right? Final Fantasy says, Mega Base, not a sin. EU cannot absolve you. Hold on, I'll get the Shondo for you. I got you.
Not a sin. I cannot absolve you. Mega based.
I also have an announcement, but I can't make it yet because it hasn't been official. There's an announcement. I want to make it. But I can't do it yet. Kwang Lee says, I can't wait for Amazon to drop Twitch. Ooh, yeah, that would be huge. Gonzo said, been busy with life and I've been able to catch your streams, but I'm glad you're still putting in pressure on RKI. Yes, and guys, we were going to have a massive RKI stream on Wednesday. I'll give you a little spoiler. Do you guys want a spoiler? S in the chat if you want a spoiler, and if you don't want a spoiler. S in the chat. S for Somali. And if you do not. And it's for no Somali. If you want a little spoiler, you guys want a spoiler about the tease some Somali stuff? Okay, I'm seeing more S's. I have not seen a single N yet. Okay, wait, hold on. There's one N. There's one N. Somebody had to be negative. But most people here are dropping the S's. Okay, we'll give a little spoiler here. All right. There are two things. One which has already happened, which is two things that are bad news for Somali. Very bad news for Somali. One which already happened, and this one may be unavoidable. But the other is something I am predicting is going to happen based on his behavior, based on what he said, based on what he's doing right now, and re-uploading videos. I have a prediction. And if he does what I think he's going to do, it could be, and I'm not exaggerating, life in prison in South Korea. I'm not exaggerating. This is not me making things up. I'm going to say this again. There's something that he could do that might result in life in prison. So I have to give a final warning, because even I have a bit of empathy to say, even for Ramsey, which I shouldn't at this point. I really shouldn't. He's done it all unto himself. Even I have to say, don't do it, because if you do it, there's something that could result in life in prison, and you should not do that, right? It hasn't been done yet, but I got a prediction that he might do it, because he's at a point where he's in a corner, and when you're backed into a corner, you do crazy stuff, and he shouldn't do it. The real thing he should do is plead guilty to everything and say sorry, and then try to become a better person. That's what everybody should do. In fact, by the way, for all of these people that are making death threats and stuff like that, and this is the transition from Somalia to that. The thing that they need to do is repent their ways and truly and genuinely change their lives from this path of death worship that they're on. And they need to go in a positive direction. And if they have a genuine, once again, I'm a person who's changed my life a lot. So I have a lot of empathy for people to be able to change, but it has to be genuine. And I can always tell when somebody has genuinely changed and when they are just faking it to get past the consequences, right? Especially if I meet somebody, but in general, it becomes pretty clear who's genuinely reformed and who's not, right? So anyways, let's get on with today's show, shall we? T-Rex in Crypto Travel says, after seeing what Hasan was saying in his echo chamber, I'm not so sure I like the idea of giving him the time of day. Not you, Andrew. This is about Elon giving him time of day. I get you covering the big thing. And once again, this is about the whole Twitch platform. This could be the end of Twitch. If Twitch goes down this pipeline, I mean, not just what we're talking about today. Twitch could be declared, look, this is something I didn't even put in the PP. It's not in the PP today. Twitch could be declared an unsafe service or product, however you consider it. I think it's more of a service, but let's call it a service, right? Let's say a bunch of state attorney generals of the states that would agree with this, because there's some states that their attorney general is not going to be down with this. But most states would, many states would. And their attorney general say, hey, this is unsafe because it's promoting violence. It's promoting calls to violence. So therefore, this is going to get fined in our state, maybe even banned in our state. That's possible. Oh, that's very possible, right? Or there's going to be some sort of consumer action. There's going to be private rights going, people making private claims against them. These things aren't possible, particularly if more things happen, and particularly as we get the trail here, if it leads back to, because we know now it's leading to Discord and leading to other places, if it leads back to Twitch, right? Alexis Artemis Green Howard the first says, hello, I'm just coming in. Anything new about RKI? That will be Wednesday. Stay on Wednesday. I got a lot for that. A big one. Big update. Aren't you concerned about physical threats made by RKI after what happened to Charlie? Be careful, Andrew. Once again, I take a lot of precautions. So, I mean, once again, I'm not like I'm scared of him, right? But I do take precautions. And once again, I think all of you should take precautions. I think now is a time when all of us around the world should be careful, should be cautious, and do what you need to do to protect your loved ones, your family, and those around you, those you care about. Right? Make sure you guys are all being safe. I want you all to be safe. I want everybody to be safe. But we should live in a world, and this is the theme of today, and this has been the theme. We should live in a world where we all are entitled to feel safe. Our physical, we should be able to live in a world and in societies where we can walk around and not worry, am I going to get hurt today in any way? And to be honest with you guys, one of the reasons why I like living in Asia is because, and that's one of the reasons why I moved here, was because I don't need to worry about my physical safety in a general sense. Yes, I can have problems, I can have other stuff, but generally that's not a concern, right? However, when I come back to the US, I am very concerned for my safety, right? And that's part of why I had a concealed carry back in the US. Once again, personal safety. Aso Ashodo says, "Rip Bozo. Do I feel bad for Somali? Maybe a little, but it was sympathy for his family. Dude was giving me chances." Yeah, and this is Wednesday when I talk about Somali. This will be his final warning. There will not be, and I'm going to reduce the resolution here because it seems like I might be getting a little bit of lag. So I'm going to go down. Are we in 720? Okay, we're in 720. Okay. All right. I'm going to, I am definitely going to be getting into how bad it's going to be for him. But I do want to, once again, everybody deserves to be warned. I don't think he knows what he's messing with if he continues to try to act out for attention. It's not going to go well because he's already been hit with a new criminal charge, Johnny Somali, before every single court case. So, yeah. All right. Let's see here. Who has more money, Elon's dad or Hasan's dad? I mean, Elon has more than Hasan. That's all that matters. Danny McRae says, "Just got a notification. Apologize for tardiness." Oh, no, you're good. Sting says, "I'm skeptical that Twitch will concede that they allowed blatant hate speech and calls to violence and gave special treatment to Hasan." Guess what? It may not be Twitch's call. What I'm going to talk about today is this may be out of Twitch's hands now. This may be in Amazon's hands now. This may be in Jeff Bezos' hands. And by the way, I know that Jeff Bezos isn't the CEO. I made a misstatement in my tweet, which, by the way, I admit when I'm wrong, which I think everybody should do. I forgot he's not the CEO. He's instead the largest shareholder and the executive chair of the board of directors, which arguably, if you know anything about corporate structure, is a way better job because the CEO has to deal with the nuts and bolts and everything that's going on day to day. That's a very annoying job that you really don't want to do. The executive chair of the board gets to make all the big decisions, right? And the largest shareholder is called on every major decision, but they don't have to manage the day to day, right? It is so much better than that. So yes, Jeff Bezos is still in charge of Amazon, even if he's not the CEO, right? Let's see. DG said, if nothing changes after Elon and JD Vance, it's reported he called JD Vance and about Twitch, then we know Hasan is an Intel asset controlled op. We'll see what happens, guys. But the point is that the administration has very clear options to deal with this. And I'm going to explain to you how today, especially the federal government. And after today, you can call your senator, you can call the member of your house, call your local politicians, your state politicians, and you can take action. I'm going to give you actionable steps. Cephalon Reaper, new member, welcome. Kevin is a new member, welcome. Mateo Flores for 100 says, I hope you're making sure you get the full context of the clips, right? Since the clips that gone viral, there's so out of context that Elon should worry about defamation. No. I will talk about that today. I'm not going to play the clip because I will get hit on YouTube for that. But I'm going to go over the language and I'm going to go over why that's entirely wrong. That there is no context in which saying these things is okay. And we should not live in a world where saying these specific phrases is ever okay, right? Now, there's some that are not included in that and some other ones that you might say, okay, whatever. There's some context to that, right? And you can show the whole context. And I've seen the context on particularly the worst one. The worst one. That does not make it better. In fact, in many ways, it makes it worse. So it is a call. It is definitely something that would inspire somebody to violence. And not just violence, lethal violence. Revan's disciple said, be afraid, Hasan. Be very afraid. He should. Who cares? I just want clarification. When does Somali start nuisance streaming, YouTube censorship? Wonder if anything is to a bomb. Let's not get too deep in Somali. We can have a whole Somali episode, but he did transform. I mean, when he was streaming earlier in like Colombia before that, he wasn't that bad. He became bad over time. Scott Jalapeno said the internet is going to be like a toy a parent has to put on the top shelf because children can play nice with it. A lot of changes are coming, guys. It's going to be a new world, but I'm going to be here with you. We're going to be talking about it the whole way because Papa Mindset's here for you. All right. So let's get this one a little bit larger here. All right. So, of course, you guys may have seen this. Of course, Tectone tweeted this out. If you guys want to see the video, go over there to Tectone. In fact, I'll probably at some point put this in the, I'll pin it in the comments, perhaps, so you guys can see that or put it in the description. But this video is the clip that it's a compilation that Tectone put together. And of course, people are going to say, well, Tectone's biased, whatever. Okay, let's assume all of that's true, right? That Tectone's extraordinarily biased, right? He's got an agenda, whatever else. It doesn't excuse the language that Hasan used. Specifically, and yes, I did do this in leet speak, so forgive me. I'm but a pleb that knows only a bit of leet speak, but and I'm going to use words that are YouTube friendly here, but you guys can read. So I'll let you read this yourself. This is the worst one, right? And the others, of course, they're bad. They're all bad, but this one is pretty bad. Yeah, delete them. Delete those MFers. Delete those MFers in the street. Let the streets soak in their red capitalist blood. There is no state, there is no situation. There is no situation in which this is cool, right? Yes, this is a direct quote. This is not me making something up. This is a direct quote from him. Once again, I don't care if you say in Minecraft, I don't care after that. I don't care what you say after that. Oh, just kidding. Haha. You should not be saying that on a major media platform, period. And if somebody said that who had the opposite politics of Hasan on the Twitch platform, they would have been permanently banned. Let's not even joke around. Let's not even pretend, right? If Asmongold or Tectone or anybody else had said that, they would have been banned. They're getting banned for calling people fat. So I'm very confident that would have gotten them banned. Extraordinarily confident. The next one. You need to be gutting them. You need to be shanking these MFers and letting their intestines writhe on the stage. Once again, these are both direct calls, not just for violence, but for death. Slice them up. Yes, slice them up and dice them. So once again, later comments do not make any of these quotes acceptable. Any of these quotes acceptable. And by the way, just before people say anything, if someone on the right said that, yeah, they should also be banned off the platform. And I'm sure they would be banned off the platform. As they justifiably should, right? And if you can find instances of somebody saying that instead of saying capitalist blood, if this was switched for communist blood, right? I'm sure they would be. If you subbed out communist for capitalist, I guarantee you these people are banned off the platform. In fact, someone could test that. If someone has a small account and they wanted to test that, they could test that, right? I'm not encouraging people to do that. But once again, it's something that clearly would get a ban. 100% would get a ban. No, I'm not. I was joking, guys. The point is you would 100% catch a ban if you said that the other way. Okay. So obviously this got Elon Musk's attention. And this was earlier. This now has way more views. This was in the morning, right? What's up here, Jeff Bezos? So Elon Musk saw this and he watched it and he tagged Bezos. And he didn't just tag Bezos. People were making calls, right? Because these guys, they're all these rich people, the ultra wealthy, they are like 1 degree of separation. They've met each other. They probably have each other's numbers. This was just to show he publicly called out Bezos. I bet there was some sort of phone call here too, right? So now you've got Bezos in this. And Bezos, look, we can say what you want to say about Bezos, right? Say whatever you want to say about Bezos. But Bezos does like money, right? And Bezos wants his share, the company where most of his wealth is invested, to do well. He has his personal future. Even though he's been selling off stock, he's still the largest shareholder. He has the majority of his wealth still in those shares. He is not going to nuke his own value, right, for this. Yes, he did. He's no longer, so Bezos is no longer the CEO. He's the executive chair and largest shareholder. So he has a financial interest. And once again, whether it's for good or for bad, corporations and by and large people are highly motivated by money. And we can all understand money. Money is an objective thing. And I can talk about money because I know, okay, this is going to lose money. So here's the point legally I want to teach today. And this is your lesson class, right? Is the morality clause. And I've taught we've got 5,700 students in the classroom today. Some are new students. Some are old students. Some of you may know this. Some of you may not. And by the way, class, I'm going to take all your super chat questions a little bit further on as we go here. But corporate contracts, as the class may know, allow for the cancellation of anything that would damage the reputation of the company or anything negative for public relations. And this is standard in every corporate contract. I've reviewed hundreds, maybe even thousands. I didn't never like exactly kind of, but at least hundreds of corporate contracts. Probably thousands. If you count the bond contract, bond deals and stuff like that, it's definitely thousands. But a lot. Almost every major corporate contract is going to have this in there. It's standard language. In fact, usually it's even in employment agreements. If the employee does something bad that makes the company look bad, they're going to cut you. And as they should. They have no right to keep you if you're going to damage the company. And this means that companies can cancel contracts with subcontractors. So for example, Sega, there was this subcontractor. I forget the author's name right now, but you guys in the chat will know. Chat will know this answer. Sega had a really unhinged independent contractor who was, wishing death and doing all sorts of other stuff. They can cancel his contract. That's a subcontract. They can cancel that under the clause. Bookstores, I saw bookstores. They were refusing to sell Stephen King. They can do that under the clause, right? They can say, hey, look, Stephen King, we're done. We're done here, buddy. We're done here. We're not doing this anymore. Anime and gaming. I know a lot of you are weebs out there. I got a lot of weeb audience. And also, even I myself, I used to go to a lot of conventions, and a lot of conventions that were supposed to be about anime and gaming and sci-fi and fantasy. They essentially became political events. And the tracks, like if you'd go to, let's say, a Lord of the Rings panel, they'd be talking about modern politics instead of talking about the Silmarillion. And you're just wondering, like, what is going on here? Like, I came to this to like escapism, and now I'm drawn back in the real world against my will. Why? Right? And what I'm saying is a lot of those folks are posting on Maine, and a lot of these companies can decide to terminate their contracts. Now, let's say, and it can go both ways. So let's say you are the garbage cleanup company that is working with, let's just say Geek Fest. I don't even know, like, Lord of the Geeks Fest, 2027 or whatever, right? And all of those organizers are out there celebrating death, calling for violence. You can say, hey, look, I'm not going to work with you guys because I don't want my garbage cleanup. I have a respectable garbage cleanup company. And even from a garbage cleanup company, we are clean enough to say we don't want any of that mess, any of that garbage, right? So the subcontractors can terminate their clause, say, no, we're not dealing with that. And then those places have a problem. And then maybe they're forced to either clean up or they're just going to go the way of the dodo. And we're going to see a lot of companies that are either going to have major problems. Maybe they splinter, or maybe they go down, or maybe they go to their competitor because of this. And I think there's going to be some companies and organizations and things that are unwilling to change and that are not going to fire people, that are not going to take action, that are going to continue to have unsafe workplaces where people feel free to threaten others with violence or death. And there's going to be those that do change and do clean up. And people out there are going to have a choice. You're going to have a choice. Do I spend my money on a company or on an event that cares about my safety? Or do I go somewhere where an unhinged person could act out at any time? And you're going to have that choice. And it's never before in history been clear which events and which companies are one way or another. It now is becoming clear. So now we have a clear thing. For example, you've got Twitch and its competitors. Let's say whatever other competitor. You can choose to watch Twitch or you cannot. That's your choice. And that's where we're at right now. Right? So we're at. Let's continue. Okay, so we're getting into clauses that can be terminated. Actually, before I do this, I'll get a couple of these chats because I want to make sure I catch up. Buddhist, big Buddhist for 5. Thank you so much. We got 6,000 people. Also like the video if you like this. The Texas vet says the morality clause is a double-edged sword. It was also used to cancel people as well as a large part of corporate risks. To balance the ethic morality, I think there's a way to standardize it. You can make it more standard, but here's the thing. I believe in corporate free speech and free choice. If a corporation wants to be a activist corporation, they can do that, but let's be honest. Let's call them out and just see what they are. So if you want to be that corporation, okay, do it. You're going to go bankrupt because at the end of the day, the truth of the matter is, TextVet, is that companies have been kind of trying to play all sides here. And that's not going to work when one side wishes violence, right? So there's going to be a choice between the people that are pro-violence and the people that are non-violent, right? And you're going to get to choose for the first time ever. It's going to be a sorting, right? It's like Hufflepuff and Gryffindor if like Hufflepuff was like obsessed with death, right? Like they're threatening Harry Potter, right? And they're calling in the, oh gosh, what was it? The Death Eaters, right? So they are allowed to take the position, but what I think is in the past, these clauses were mostly triggered one way. And now we're seeing, once again, these tools being used the other way, and people aren't liking it because they thought these tools were only going to be used against their political opponents. And at the end of the day, the law doesn't really care about these morality clauses. They do not say this is only effective against Republicans or Democrats or whatever else. They are agnostic. They don't care about politics. If you damage the reputation, you got to go. And if you're a safety threat and you are calling for violence, that is inherently damaging the reputation. So any contract, once again, business to business contracts. And here's the big one, government to business contracts. So all of Amazon's government contracts we're going to go through today, a lot of the big ones, all of those are at risk because Twitch is owned by Amazon, parent company, right? And because of the stink that could happen there, they can very well terminate those contracts. And remember, not so long ago, over literally a debate about taxes, Trump threatened to cancel SpaceX contracts. And that was over just like a scuffle on taxes, right? This is a little bit more. I think this is going a little bit further than that. Pippi channel for £5 says, I'm in following says Rittenhouse. Please continue to be you. I am. I've always been myself. Always been honest with you guys. If you guys like it, there's the door, right? But I'll continue to be me. That's always the way it is. We really need your insights right now. Thanks for bringing some logic and rationality in civil form. Yeah, and once again, I am worked up, but I'm worked up to do this in a professional, neutral way. And also, once again, I know people are going to not like this because it seems like it's going to fall on one side of the field here. But at the end of the day, when these people are purged out, when the violent people are purged out of our society, it will be a better society. The world will be a better place. Cypher Logic said, couldn't the U.S. government sanction Amazon and Twitch violations? Yes. Jeremy Freeman says, really, Dan Clancy is 50% of the problem with Twitch because he enjoys Hasan content, and that means he probably has to go. Postcode says, can we all just go to the bomb waters? I cannot legally watch those videos on stream, but they are hilarious. And I really am debating buying a custom suit because I can make them pretty cheaply here in Asia. Buying a custom suit that looks like those videos. Hilarious. Great work. Mateo Flores for 50, Swedish Krona says, so why haven't you taken the time to add 2 sentences connected before and after? More context better than less, right? Yeah, no, in that particular case, once again, I'm trying to make a clean PowerPoint, right? That's all that's necessary there. Once again, the 2 sentences before and after do not change or make that better in any way, shape, or form. You cannot say that combination, that's compound sentence. Let me go back to this for a second. This one, the top one, there are no 2 sentences in the world that make the before and after that makes that better. Like, let's just be real here. Let's not try to pretend here. That's a pretend land. Bigo says, and once again, at the very least, they should have caught him on a weak ban for that. They didn't do anything. Remember, nothing for that. Zero. They didn't even give him not a week, not a month, not anything else. And once again, I think a lot of this would be fixed if they had just, as we all said, given some serious consequences. If they gave him a week or a month ban, he would have thought about it and maybe he would have de-escalated. But because they've encouraged the escalation instead of the de-escalation, that's the problem. The problem is and this happens with nuisance streamers, just like Somali, when you have an audience that's pushing to escalate, become more radical, extreme, you have to, at some point, daddy has to come in with the belt. And once again, I'm not promoting corporal punishment, although I was probably the last generation that got corporal punishment. The older kids know what I'm talking about. The younger kids are like, they're terrified. They're like, we're calling the police right now. It's a metaphor, right? This is a metaphor. At some point, someone's got to come in and give you a whipping, right? It's time for some punishment, right? It's all been all candy and sugar. It's been all carrot and no stick. Sometimes there needs to be a stick, right? You cannot just give the carrot. Sometimes there has to be a stick. Yes. It has to happen. And this is the stick. And people are afraid of the stick. But it's time. Hicka, gifted 10 legal mindset memberships. Thank you so much. Very, very based of you. Let me do a little. You. Bigo says Twitch endorses the statements from Hasan. Well, I mean, some of them, yes, some of them, no. I mean, but these particularly, I can't either confirm nor deny whether they specifically endorse, quote unquote, endorse those. Gato said for $9.99, am I the only one that feels that there won't be accountability? See how mainstream media overall protects the vile behavior. What was your perception? Don't be too black pill. That's too black pill. Do not be black pill. I think that it's coming. It's coming. This is a global thing. I'm here across the world. And people are aware of this. The media has not been able to quiet this one down. And they're trying. Oh, they're trying. They're trying to spin this. They're trying to really spin this. It's not working. On this one, it's really not working. The truth is getting out there. And people are waking up. And for the first time, normies, and these are people that have never, they're not YouTube addicted. They're not Twitch addicted. Normal people. This is the thing people don't realize. Normal people are realizing, oh, wait a second. This stuff was a lie. These people are really lying. And that is a problem. And that's a separate episode and separate video I'm going to do, but there's going to be media consequences. I absolutely think we're headed in that direction. And the crazy thing is, if you've been following this channel, like the Nichols case that I've been covering, Nichols versus 10 Barge, others, there is already cases in the works that are going to shut down fake journalism and false journalism. So we already have cases that are going to go and shut down fake journalism. And then imagine on top of that, we have case law regarding defamation that comes in and strengthens the protections against fake journalists. And then on top of that, we get actual an act passed in Congress. Oh man, that will completely change everything. I guarantee you, once again, these companies will get shut down. They will be fined, right? There will be potential criminal penalties. They will change. They will have to. CLED, CamC, become a new member. Welcome. Let's see here. Okay, not to be argumentative. No, that's fine. But I'm a street. If you're respectful, I'm happy to have a discussion. But I'm a strategic director for Fortune 500 Bank. Oh, cool. I only hear going one way because personal activism at a leadership level. There would need to be cleansing from DEI purchases. Okay, so text that. I understand you. Let me just say, I understand you. And certain places have a lot at the leadership level, and there would need to be a lot of cleaning house there. I'm not saying it gets done tomorrow, right? But I'm saying it's a title shift. And I'm saying there are institutions and places and businesses, right, that do not have an entire upper leadership that's been, how should I say, occupied, right? They do exist, right? They're still out there, right? And there are those that will be able to be, that you can rely on. And we're going to find those, right? But I understand what you're saying. And I understand there's going to be some of the leadership that are pushing back. I understand. James says, let's knock out the target. And by the way, once again, if you're new to my chat, as long as you're respectful, you are happy to disagree with me. I am happy for you to say, hey, I don't think that's right or whatever else. That's fine. That's actually welcome here. Once again, that's the kind of spirit of Charlie Kirk, right? If you're respectful, you can sit down. We can have a reasonable discussion. You can dissent here. That's fine. No violating YouTube terms of service, right? And no, getting into like ad hominem stuff. But yeah, otherwise. Update on Vitali in a while. I'm doing some research on that right now. Mayor says it's FAFO. He FA'd, now he's going to FO. Deadly Lift says for 5, surprise the compilation didn't include the delete Rick Scott clip. Dude literally called for violence on politicians multiple times. Once again, it's not all inclusive, but yeah. Patrick S says, how hasn't Hasan been charged with terrorism threats? This isn't the first time he's made these kind of statements, made several towards Republicans, but he does dog whistling. Well, criminal is a hard line, and also people haven't been paying attention as closely. They haven't been paying attention as closely. I think now he knows the eyes are on him, but he's also going to, the problem for Hasan is his fan base is going to push him to escalate. And his fan base is going to push him to defame everybody. And at some point, let's say he defames Elon Musk like he does streamers, which once again, I don't know whether he's dumb or controlled or whatever else, but if he does something like defaming Elon Musk, who once again privately funded a lawsuit of Virginia Carano, gave money even to Amber Heard back in the day, remember that whole case, that would be a hell of a case. Musk going against Hasan for defamation, because usually the person with more money wins, right? James for 10, and in this case, I'm assuming there would be a very good basis because Hasan routinely defames people just openly. He's so used to it. So he might call Elon Musk something that's criminal, for example, and then boom, defamation case, and it's open and shut. As someone looking to get into streaming, I'm kind of worried streaming to Twitch through the Piker platform terrorists. Well, then don't choose Twitch. Raiden says, an SGI Buddhist, violence is deplorable. People like Hasan do nothing but sow division and hate. But as a veteran, Hasan looks more and more like a domestic enemy. Yeah, I am not a fan of violence. I am a fan of handling everything non-violently. But there's a point at which you need to take action. We'll put it that way. And it can be non-violent action. I think hitting people in the pocketbook is a very good non-violent action. Paula Lamley said, would it help the writer state AG? Yes. Sigrid said, let the corpos be public with their politics and let the market decide. I agree. Fat and Jay said, don't worry about Destiny. Well, I don't have enough clips on Destiny. I haven't done the research on Destiny, so that'll maybe be another day. But the compilation's out on Hasan. Hudson says for 10, Chink's nephew wants attention and now he's receiving it. I love this for Chink's nephew. Well, he went on a media tour trying to get attention. So we'll do that. All right. Let's continue here. I don't want to hold up the PP. Let's talk about all the contracts Amazon has at risk. All of these contracts. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, even one of these contracts is more than Hasan will ever make for Twitch in its entire history, right? Past, present, and future. Even if they kept him on for 10 more years, well, he's not going to make this money for Twitch, right? Hasan is not going to make $10 billion. This is the Wild and Stormy cloud computing government contract that Amazon has, web services. Once again, Amazon, the parent company of Twitch, has with the government. Now, the government can cancel this contract. There are other providers. There are other ways to do this, right? $10 billion. This is one contract. I'm going to talk about way more contracts, right? Some of them are infinity money contracts. This one contract alone is more than all the Labubu's that Hasan will ever be able to buy. Let's continue. The DoD Joint Warfighting Cloud Capability, the JWCC contract. Department of Defense, infinite delivery, infinite quantity, multiple award contract. Infinite. The CIA Commercial Cloud, C2E contract. 15 years, infinite delivery, infinite quantity. The U.S. Navy Enterprise Software License, BPA, $724 million, right? Any of these contracts, Trump could come in. The Department of War, by the way, that's the new name, right? So the Department of War could come in and say, guess what? Deuces, And once again, yes, that would be a big pain, right? Maybe you just got to threaten it, right? But this is what's at risk here. And your senator, your House rep should know, I don't want my money going to a company that is directly condoning, because they know now. Jeff Bezos now knows. He's been tagged. He knows. Before he could pretend he didn't know. Now he knows, right? You are backing calls for death and violence, right? And by the way, it's not just Hasan. There's others on the platform as well that are bad. Hasan's probably just the one that's most well known, right? But this has to be applied across the board, right? No more calls for death. Looks at Labubu's hanging off my mic. Listen, I'm not judging you for your Labubus, okay? The point of the matter is, you guys are horrible. You guys are horrible. The point of the matter is that all these are at risk. Let's continue. The GSA, the General Service Administration, also has a contract with Amazon Web Services, right? A massive contract. That's up at risk. Here's another one. Amazon Business, which has contracts not just with the federal government, but with state and local governments. That's why I say, look at your state government, your local government, your city. What are they buying from Amazon? What are they purchasing from Amazon? Can they get an alternative? Can they get a competitor to do it? These are all up in the air. I say, look, listen, guys, we need to divest ourselves of Amazon. And Amazon, when it sees their bottom line getting hit over this, they will do something, right? Right? Let's continue. This is my post here once again. You should follow me on X if you're there, The Legal Mindset, right? But let me read my post here. This is a good post. Once again, thank you for somebody else pointed out the Project Kuiper, or Kuiper Belt, Project Kuiper. The funding here. But Amazon has a contract with SpaceX, right? That can be terminated. Elon can do that unilaterally. And by the way, just threatening this one contract alone, Elon saying, hey, Jeff, bro, I'm gonna need you to fix this, or I'm not gonna be helping you on this project. You're gonna need to do something, Jeffy, or I'm not gonna help you on this project. And this is something Elon can do. The other ones, okay, the government's got to do, right? That might be slower. Elon can do this one himself. That's powerful, guys. That's powerful. They don't want to mess with this, but he's already gone and poked the bear, right? Yeah. And remember, Trump threatened to cancel Musk company's contracts. So he's already threatened SpaceX. Like in the past, Trump has already threatened SpaceX. Over what? Musk's criticism of Trump's tax cut. Literally, Musk criticizing Trump was enough for him to threaten the contracts. So I think, I don't know about you guys, but I think this is a little more than just two bros arguing. I think the severity of this situation is a lot more severe than the previous situation. So I think looking at these contracts, there's a lot more justification than there was previously. Right? Okay, I'm going to get some super chats. I'm going to keep rolling because there's 12 here, so I want to make sure I get through everything. Digital Lisa, which would be easier for Legal Mindset to do? 100% completion, no hit, no death runs of all from software games, or finding one Hasan VOD where is it called for political violence? I'm not a good gamer, so yeah. Theodore Mazovkowski for, is that Uruguay? 150? Says, calling for political violence is insane on its own, but doing from a comfy apartment, not that a mansion, while making bank from streams and bashing capitalists is peak hypocrisy. Yeah, and a mansion in one of the most expensive places. I mean, I lived there for 6 months, and that was a decade ago, right? And it was still one of the most expensive places on the planet. DP Chief for 499 says, I'm seeing whispers of the Kirk family suing Stephen King. I'm not sure if they have a case, but I'm curious. I haven't seen all of Stephen King's, what he said. I'd have to look at all the statements, but I did see the bookstore that said we're pulling Stephen King over his statements. The Dabbling Warlock for 5 said the only context to make those better is him saying, don't say that. That's not what he said, right? It wasn't, don't ever say, right? No. Please post feet. No. Rolando Feliciano said, just caught up. Bias or no? I agree. The fact he said these and that stuff about Senator Scott, there should be legal ramifications. Yes. You cannot just say these things. If someone said that about Joe Biden or Nancy Pelosi, it would not be, oh yeah, that's cool. Just let him ride. Right? No, absolutely not. Are you kidding me? No. QB said, has anyone tried using the OSHA compliant mesh on Hasan? Yeah, yes. And I have gotten reports that they have sent them in. People are sending the OSHA thing. It is working. And it is something that many people have messaged me saying they've done. It's working. It's already getting in the system. So yes, go do it. If you are a former employee, an employee, even a contractor, right? You could say, hey, the place I'm contracted to work at is I feel unsafe to work there, right? Corporal punishment is legal in Missouri schools, mega based. Mac for Fine says, ever since Charlie Kirk passed, he's been going on a press tour, making it about him and trying to save face. That's disgusting. He's been literally milking it as if he is the victim here. And this happened before anybody even started pointing fingers at him. He was milking it like, off rip. And now it's clear why. He knew this was coming because he knew he did a bad thing. He knew he did a bad thing. So he had to make himself into a victim beforehand so he would get sympathy, right? It's not going to work. No. I mean, not no one. There are people that obviously are insane death worshippers, and maybe they will back up Hasan. But any sane person should say, yes, there should be some consequences for that. Masteran said the big problem with I can never pronounce this. Stochastic terrorism is dealing with it and without giving corrupt actors the ability to define speech they don't like is not. And that's why I am very cautious about giving new powers, right? That's why all the things I'm talking about, the morality clause, that's existing in law. It already is being used. It already has been used. I'm telling you right now, at the companies I've worked at, we've terminated people for the morality clause. So why are we scared to use existing tools? I'm not even talking yet about inventing new tools. Now, we will talk about the new act, and I think it should be limited and there should be definitions of what everything means. So we don't give all this unlimited power away in a time in which we're trying to do stuff. It needs to be very, 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 very tight, very focused, and not get out of control. John from 50 Swedish Kroner says, for anyone wondering, calls for violence or other imminent lawless actions are not protected by the First Amendment. Brandenburg versus Ohio. Yeah, no, they failed the Brandenburg test. It's a direct call for violence. Absolutely not. The Pie Baker said, would the Fed have authority to tell the government-sponsored entities to disconnect from the Amazon help asking for hopium on job security? Once again, those contracts are just like other commercial contracts. If there's a breach here, right, it is very possible to turn off that spigot. Right now, there's usually extra stuff in government contracts, but yes, it is possible to turn off that spigot. Yes. Gonzo says, maybe I'm not understanding, but what is the difference between Hasan and others, people like him or people on January 6th? Once again, we're not here to litigate the other stuff, but like, one versus the other, right? There's been years to litigate all of that. Years to litigate all of that. A lot of the truth has come about a lot of that, right? And I'll say this, if someone is out there truly calling for violence, regardless of what political spectrum they are, they should be put away, right? But once again, were they directly calling for violence? Were they participating in violence? If so, yes. But once again, let's see the Carfax, right? Let's see the Carfax. And in this case, we have people in 4K, right? Online, calling for violence, calling for death, right? We see their legal names. We have all their information. The proof is all there. You want to compare that to stuff that's in the past. We may or may not have proof, may or may not have the names, may have confused details, right? So that's not apples to apples, it's apples to oranges, right? Let's talk about the instant case. But that said, I'm very fair about this. And if there is anything that comes in the future, there's people that say are on the right that act out and call for death and violence, I will be 100% behind giving them the exact same treatment. Tamaska VT says, my concern is this. If a guy was able to be corrupted to the point of attacking a political official, how much to attack veterans like me in the VA? Oh, once again, yes. That was everybody. That's the thing. This is you, right? That was everybody. If it could happen to anybody. CVK TY says, remember that the market cap of a public traded company is a multiple of its earnings, 35.5x for Amazon, Crisis King, Rip Kirk. Yeah, and the other thing too is, and this is the other thing about Wall Street and the SEC, which I may get into this in a future episode, a lot of the, some of the figures and facts out there are not accurate on companies. There is some bad reporting, some very bad reporting, especially of foreign companies, some very bad reporting. And the district courthouse in New York is pretty much not bringing cases to clean up Wall Street, right? So that Wall Street is a whole separate issue. And once again, if we'll get there eventually if we're cleaning everything up. But Wall Street is dirty too. Wall Street, I might become to a surprise that Wall Street is dirty, guys. Scorpio Black Dragon says federal contract cancellation is one thing. Cancellation and ban will be cripple and destroy. Yes. So I think a cancellation of a contract, definitely step one. If they're bad enough, if the company is really bad, ban them. Yes. Yes. Harno says Nux W. Fauci said if Hasan is about to get what's coming to him, do you think the newcomers will, do you think the newspapers that glossed over his actions will face the consequences? I think it's very possible, particularly if they engage in defamation. And I think that there's a lot of those newspapers that engaged in defamation, particularly calling people things they aren't. I do think it's a problem when you call somebody, I'm just going to use an example. If you call somebody, this is a very clear example. You call somebody a Nazi, unless you were a member of the National Socialist Party of Germany between the years of 1936 or something. I don't know the founding. So like 1945, unless you were actually alive then and a member of that party, a card carrying member, you should not be able to go around and defame people by calling them that, right? That's an objective standard. You can call them other things. You can call them, oh, that's a right-wing lunatic. But 1933, thank you, my quick German history people, right? People saying 1924, okay, whatever. It's a certain period of time. I got my researchers in the chat. And also, yes, if you also, so you're a card carrying member or you publicly self-identify as one. You say, I am this. So either you were a card carrying member or you self-identify. Same with being a white supremacist. You either have to be a card carrying member on the roll of a party that has as its open platform white supremacism, or you call yourself a white supremacist. Otherwise, that is defamation. You have to publicly do that, right? Not because somebody else feels like that, because that is such a bad thing to somebody's reputation that should be defamatory, right? That's one of my proposed, modifications. And I think that's objective, and I think that's very objective, right? Okay. So let's go here. Negative actions have negative consequences. Yes, exactly. I'd be Maxwell. So I noticed on my Twitter recommended that almost every thread is being pushing propaganda about Charlie Kirk being a bigot or racist. It's just me. It's all over my timeline with few supported posts. It might be who you're interacting with or you're following. Definitely check around and definitely check those sources, because that is definitely a narrative that is coming from certain people. And once again, there's some problems there with that narrative. Mostly that it's not true. Ace 158 2001, technically being caught in 4D is correct. The fourth dimension is time. That's true. The moment is immortalized video. Thank you. I'm always right. Sometimes. Guacamole United for 5 says the second car I saw after dropping off the kid at school had a huge 880. Was it? Oh, yeah, probably the 8. The 8647. Yeah. So that, yeah. Ends when people start going to jail. Yeah. And once again, that is a coded death threat, right? So if you're out there saying 86 means that if you didn't work in a restaurant, 86 means you run out of, no more, right? So 86 means finish, right? Finish being a synonym for delete, which is a synonym for the K word, which YouTube doesn't like, right? I probably said it accidentally. We're probably partly demonetized today. Who knows? But so, and 47 mean the 47th president, right? Which would be Donald Trump, right? Yeah, take it off the menu, right? It's off the menu, right? Done, finish, yep. So that is a coded death threat. That is no better than a blatant death threat. And you should not be allowed to make coded death threats either. That's not okay, even if they're in leet speak or whatever else, right? Okay, let's continue. All right, here's what you guys can do. And this is kind of the back half of this. You can contact Amazon. People ask what to do. Contact Amazon. You can post the video, share the video regarding the promotion of violence, and tag Amazon, tag the government officials, tag Elon, tag other people saying, hey, look, this happened. Please review your contract with Amazon, which is the parent company of Twitch, and make things happen. You guys can contact politicians, federal, state, local, and encourage companies to seek alternative contract with vendors other than Amazon. Beyond that, I think everybody should use sales strategy. I think it's very, very smart. I mean, I've worked with salespeople. I've never done sales myself, but I've worked with a lot of salespeople. There are a lot of my friends are salespeople. And just start with consideration when you're making these emails, making these calls. Start with consideration of people's time and perspective. Say, hey, this is urgent, right? Explain why it's urgent. Hey, this is urgent because this just happened and this will happen again. And there are people making the workplace unsafe, making these contracts unsafe, and they're promoting this through this platform. It's got to be stopped now. Otherwise, this platform, for example, Twitch, is going to be used to promote more violence. And give them a specific thing. Say, hey, look, Hasan Piker. There needs to be some action taken against Hasan Piker. And by the way, if there's other people on the platform, name them too. And offer to help. Maybe send them the clip. Offer to help them. Make their job easy, right? You don't want to be mean to these people. And beyond that, here's my point. I really want to, this is where I wanted to kind of end the PowerPoint, and then I'll have some discussion with you guys, some open discussion. But you guys, when you're doing this, if you're writing, if you're getting active, you're getting involved, you need to say thank you, right? A lot of people complain and they never, ever say thank you when they actually do the thing, right? You need to, when you see a company takes action or does something, go back to that same person you complained to or explain things to or asked, whatever, and say thank you. And that will go a long way. Complaints and raging emails are routine. If you're polite in communication, you're thoughtful, you're using precise wording, you're not just reeing or screaming into an email or screaming into a phone, you're gonna do well. And many employees never hear thank you. And a thank you is free and everyone feels good. Like, for example, here we go. Chat. There's 6,000, almost 7,000 you here today. Thank you for coming today. Thank you for joining my TED Talk. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for liking the video. Thank you for commenting on the video, those that comment on the video. Thank you for watching the replay. Thank you for watching the fast facts, right? I put a lot of time, a lot of effort into those fast facts. Thank you for doing that. I couldn't do this without you guys. Thank you. Look at that. It's free. It doesn't, did that hurt me? Did that damage me in any way? Is my ego shattered by doing that? Am I a horrible person? But no, right? It's easy. Do it, right? Do the thing. Do the thing, right? Do the thing, right? So yeah, that's what I got today. Let me get these comments, and then I'm going to talk to you a little bit about other strategies as well that I didn't have in the PP. Troy G said, one way to do something is to send emails to advertisers and like the website advertise on Switch. Yes. So this is, so let's go back to the morality clause, right? So advertisers also have morality clauses. Advertisers also do. So yes, you can go after once again, inform them. I don't want to say the word go after. Inform the advertisers. Are you aware that I saw your product advertised on Twitch? And are you aware that this is what Twitch is doing? And send them the video of Hasan. So are you aware this is what is going on the platform where you're advertising? Or I saw this ad played during the stream. Remember, this is what caused the adpocalypse before on YouTube. This is what caused Twitch a problem when it was just when there were other comments, right, that were made. This is much bigger. Look at who's advertising, which ads are on Twitch, and yes, contact them. Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Data Dramatic, I don't care if you proclaim the benefits of eating people. He didn't hurt anyone, so it's celebrating it is psychotic. Who cares? Says thank you for having such a good stream. My pleasure, and thank you for being here. L Southwest is member for 6. If it walks like a Nazi and acts like a Nazi, once again, if it's doing Roman salutes in the street while wearing a uniform that hails back to an Austrian painter, then sure, right? But that's public behavior, right? Not just, they believe in slightly stronger taxation, or they believe in a stricter immigration policy. That does not make one a national socialist of the German party of, the 1920s or 30s to 1945. Right? Not a thing. John Common says, but is calling Bridget Macron a man defamatory? Well, we're about to find out. No, if she's not a man, then Kid is always defamed her, right? But, that's easy to figure out. Chaos Smash says, you're welcome for everything. That'll be $50. Kathy, the Swamp Queen for 5 said, did you hear the Florida Department of Education put out a notice to teachers license will be revoked for social media? Yes. This is a big one. And this is another separate thing. I was going to do a whole separate episode on this, but I'll give you a little teaser because Legal Mindset likes free Give you some free alpha, right? Some free alpha here. I think that any professional who has a license, doctors, lawyers, nurses, teachers, should have their license revoked if they are promoting death and violence. Let me say that one more time. If you have a professional license that is certified by the state, that state should revoke your license if you're condoning or practicing or whatever, glorifying violence, right? Absolutely. And someone throw engineers. And if you have a license, you should lose that professional license. Now, if you're willing to apologize and go through, a significant amount of training to get back into the place where you're at, and people who are not insane death worshipers are willing to certify that you have genuinely changed, then you can have your license back. But for now, those licenses need to go. Right? Leprechaun Dwell for 50 legal mindset memberships. Love it. Yes. Thank you for that big super sticker there. Appreciate the support of the channel. It's been a little different because the views have been wonky on YouTube. They're down all over. Part of it's bots, and part of it is I think if you have an ad blocker, your views don't count anymore. So it's really wacky now. But everyone's going through it now. Zinni for 100 check Corona says, looking mighty swell today. I'm having a good time. Mr. Goodman. Also, I am sad to say that we must adhere to the universal rule of the universe. Nothing ever happens. There's no way Hasan could ever get deplatformed for this. I think this last 2 weeks have proven that a lot of stuff happened. Literally, the whole government of Nepal was overthrown, right? You had an incident in Qatar. You had Irina in the Charlotte train. You had Charlie Kirk. Things have been happening, right? The nothing ever happens meme. I saw the nothing ever happens meme where the guy was like, the guy was just done because it was like erased off the board because stuff is happening right now. A lot of stuff is happening, right? Here we go. Yeah. P-Size Brain says, I'm a licensed healthcare provider in PA. A provision for lose license is any display of moral turpitude. Exactly. And these are all self-policing professions. So a lot of them are, excuse me. So they can do these things. And if they're not willing to do it, the government needs to do it. Say, hey, look, if you're not going to police these people, organizations like the bar association, etc. If you're not going to police this, then we're going to do it. Right? So it's one way or another. But yes. Celebrating death and violence inherently is against any professionalism that I can know. Right? Unless you're like, once again, a Death Eater. Right? Hypnotic Rapture gifted 5. Thank you so much. Master Ann says, was going to buy a new Crony fan game that came out. The next day, pixel artists who worked on it joined the Kirk grave dancing conflict. Now, I wouldn't do it. Once again, you've got to put your money where your mouth is. Sean Brown says, I can't help but feel that calling people a Nazi or fascist is a tactic because it's easier to harm someone. Yes, it is. It's usually a tactic to defame people easily. And they should have to work harder. I'm sorry, but I expect better. I expect better for my defamation. No, look, it's lazy. It's become a shorthand that they just want to call everybody a Nazi to the point where that word doesn't mean anything anymore. And when somebody is called a Nazi, I immediately think this person is just a normal, average, everyday Joe that somebody who's insane happened to disagree with. And I have to actually look into their whole history to say, oh, are they really crazy? Or just is it they disagreed with them on the politics of the war in Ukraine? Right? And all of a sudden they're a Nazi, right? That's not what that means. It's not what that word means, right? And we need an objective standard because it's too far. Cody Sheedy, became a new member. Welcome. Scrub Black Dragon said, if you follow any Twitch streamer, tell them about Hasan and urge them to also contact Twitch. That's true because the death of Twitch will destroy the livelihood. Better to dump Hasan. Exactly. Better to for the whole flock than for Twitch to go down because Twitch could go down. The whole platform. I'm not joking, guys. Once again, the other thing I didn't talk about today, we just talked about canceling contracts. States can bring regulatory actions, consumer protection actions to protect the consumers. The consumers of Twitch are unsafe. So they're allowing citizens to consume unsafe products and services in the form of Twitch because people like Hasan and others are on that platform. State AGs can roll on this. They can roll hard on this. Just a matter of contacting them, letting them know, send them the video of Hasan, send that compilation, send any other compilation. If you got others, send those too. Send all the evidence. They can roll on that. Zini for 100 check run says, oh, okay, yes, those things did happen. But what I mean is Hasan will not face actual consequences. I don't believe Twitch or Amazon will finally do something. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see. At some point, there will be a consequence because once again, if he gets away with it again, at some point, it will cross a line, a legal line or a defamatory line, and there will be a consequence. It is just a matter of time. Just be patient. John Dillinger for 5. Thank you so much for that. Big Buddha says Moisty made a video about the views. Someone pinpointed it to August 10th. Yeah, it was big. Hoppy said, I just want CC to go out of control again. I understand. And once again, you have to control what you put out there, especially in terms of censorship. Everybody knows who's watched my channel. I'm very against censorship and pro free speech. I want to do as de minimis as possible to fix this. I want this to be fixed with a surgeon's scalpel and a laser, not a grenade, right? We need to come in and precision strike this. And we need to do it as quickly and as non-violently as possible. So, but it's going to be non-violent, but it's going to be rough for the people that are the violence worshipers. But I do not feel bad for the non-violent consequences that these people are going to face. And these are people, and I'm going to say this, and some people are going to get mad. I don't care. In my assessment, looking at most of these cases, the people tend to be people that have not seen real consequences in their life. And sometimes the law is there as that consequence. When they haven't seen a consequence elsewhere, the law comes in as the consequence, saying you have crossed the line of the law, and the law is here to punish you, right? We're here now. We're there now. Table Darn says, as a socialist using Nazi as an insult is peak irony. It's not a line with left versus right. It should be a circle because either way, you end up at the same point, totalitarian regime. Yeah, there's the whole, the extreme left and extreme right are closer to each other than they are to the center. That's a thing. That is a thing for sure. Yeah, and by the way, I don't underestimate anything. It's just Hasan is the most visible. There are smaller creators, but if you understand anything about the internet or mobilizing or getting things done, you don't get them done to target one random minor streamer who's a problem. You get them done on a bigger level, and then that trickles down, right? I'm not going to go full Reagan on you here, but that trickles down to the smaller creators. But that laser can take out Hasan and can take out the other ones that are a problem within Twitch. If it takes out Hasan, it's going to get the smaller creators too, right? Obviously. Cryosite. So your Neko says, hi, Andrew. Keep up the good work. Yeah, thank you. Right. Because like if Hasan goes down, then there's nobody else with the amount of power of the Golden Boy, right? If the Golden Boy goes down, and they may even self-censor, right? They may even self-censor, meaning they may remove themselves. Okay, I'll take this last one. Brody Dunn says, so Nazi is a defamatory term. Could a defense argue that A, the definition has changed? I do not think so. And B, the labeling is some sort of protected opinion. I'm concerned that wouldn't be going anywhere. That's if it was a pure defamation case. But what some people are asking for, and this is a separate episode, a whole episode, they're asking for a separate law, a law to be passed in Congress that specifically says calling someone that word is not okay. And if that is passed and it's specifically, it's drawn out and explained there, I think it could pass muster, constitutional muster. It's the least restrictive means to accomplish that. Yeah, sure. Absolutely. So anyways, it's my opinion there. Let me get, okay, there's two more here. Silbury says, for me, nothing ever happens because 2035 will roll around and we'll still be a Hasan, maybe same different. Some makes you ask, how long will it go? I disagree. I'm very white pill on this. I think things are changing. I'm very white pill on this. Teodoro Franco says, putting away the people is attacking the symptom. The ideology will attract more people. The line between good and evil runs to the center of every man's heart. Yes, and we all need to choose good. Let us all choose good, but the good people have to band together and push back sometimes. And I want to go down in history as on the side of good, not on evil, right? That's very much the case. And violence is evil. Make no mistake, violence is evil. And it's something that as a society, the fact that we've moved away from violence has made our world a better place. And that is a good thing. We do not need violence, right? We don't need, right? People trying to pull us back into darkness and violence is trying to regress us to something that we can move beyond as a species. We have the power now to do this. But we're fighting it because we want it, because we've done it so long. We've done it in our history for so long. We really want it. But we moved to the point we don't need it, right? It's still inside of us, but we can fight that. We have the power to fight that, right? Vio says, I'm a Jew and a left lib, and I've been called a Nazi a lot lately. That's crazy. Seen people say both Zionism and liberalism equal Nazism. It's diluted in a gross way. That's just wow. Karen said 36 minutes in, and I just want to say I can't stand the left or right streamers. They get rich sitting in the chair yapping. Big Illuminati said, just want to play devil's advocate. Would someone like freedom of speech be a viable defense for guys like Hasan if he's kicked off the platform? They'll try to say that, but once again, freedom of speech has never protected death threats or violence, ever. And Zinni, as I remember seeing a clip of Vosh asking Destiny on stream, when is he going to start pew-pewing them? This was years ago. Personally, all I'm asking is for consequent culture finally to get them. And that's what it is. What it is not cancel culture. It's consequence culture. It's seeing that you're hitting the limit of the law and you're feeling the consequences. Anyways, on that note, guys, stick around, go to my fast facts, like this video, and I will catch you on the next.
You are coping the ceiling. You just can't believe what you're seeing. Yes, you're coping the ceiling. The truth it is all day, and now you are more.